higher quality and a lot of times like, well, a lot of people use it for podcasting and I just use it when I do calls because I find that like when you're like doing deals or meeting people, it's just like it's always cooler if you record it and makes good content. So not saying
Awesome.
I mean if I make anything I'll let you know, but I just do all my calls on here.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay. So we could jump in. I was just actually mentioning to Mike about I guess and it's a sell. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk with you really quick before we call the seller, right? Is that the game plan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, catching it up. I'm just gonna pull up the address again. Actually, can you read off the address again for me, Mike or Amy?
Yeah, it's 19602. No, Green Grove
There it
Court.
is. Yeah,
Yep.
luckily I searched this one. My history remembers it quickly. Okay.
No.
And Mike, should I kind of give her the sort of basics of kind of how this, what I call the revive method works and how they basically make a little bit more rather than just the cash offer and how we just
Exactly. I was trying to give it to her in a nutshell, but I wanted you to explain it because, just a little bit more thoroughly and, with your experience and everything. And this, just explaining to her where the seller's at and what they want for the property versus what, you know, without the roof being replaced, it's going to open up a lot of doors for a lot more buyers and increase the value and everything else. So yeah, if you could do
yes.
that, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I'm just gonna make it. I'm literally gonna show you like like kind of how we run the numbers too. I like just being really transparent, Amy. So let me,
I've already prepped her, by the way. I
Okay.
think she does want to do something off market. I just want to let you know, like I'm fairly familiar with kind of what you're doing, but I would love to like hear the very details of it. I've already prepped her, sent her an email stating that, the roof, the pool, things like that are going to come up, and that we need to have a bigger pool essentially for buyers rather than cash investors. So she's kind of already prepped on all of that. Um, I'm looking forward to hearing what you have more in detail with her. I wouldn't go into too much detail.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That'll be a good point. I'll show you the detail and you can tell me what we
Sure.
should relay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes total sense. Okay. And then let me just put this in here because like, you know what? Yeah. I'm just going to share my screen. And I'll just show you how I literally run these numbers. And then, okay, I'll share and that's the other nice thing is I can share this. So, okay. So the big variables, like if we fix this roof, right, and take care of these little things, I would assume we should easily get over $1 million, huh? You guys said it appraised for how much as is?
Right at 1 million is where the appraisal came back.
Okay. And that was without the roof and all that stuff being done, right?
Right.
So what do you think, Amy, like tops, like what do you think if we did do the roof and we did kind of got this like really looking good? I mean, not like a full on like gutting it, but just kind of cleaning it up, making it look nice, doing the necessary stuff. Like 1.1.
I'm always interested with these appraised values coming back because they can come back all different. It just depends on what the buyer is wanting to buy it for, right? So
Yep.
I think going into the market that we're going into, given the fact that everything's gone up since yesterday, right? So now we're having a different conversation than we would have last week. But I think probably maxed out at 1. I'm not sure that I would go. I mean, this is also going to depend on what has recently sold in there. The last highest price that had closed in there that was that was up the road from there. I want to say it was maxed out at like 1.3. So that's probably pretty accurate. We have a guest house, so that's going to make it more desirable. So as I'm looking at this, if we put the roof on, we're able to kind of clean it up a little bit, probably between 9 and $1 million.
Okay. All right, cool. So that's where like down here, I'm going to get, because this is the biggest variable we don't know. And this is, we can decide how much we share with your seller. But I think my opinion, I share all of this with them.
Keep buffering.
Yeah. So this is where, so maybe 900 on the low end, maybe 1.05 on the high end. I mean, honestly, with the way I'll be honest with you guys. I like to show them, let me do one more. You know what? I'm going to change that. I think we would go 950 because I think potentially, like you said, with the market and the way things are going, I always want to show them the upside too, right? And obviously, it's going to be somewhere probably in the middle. And then we just put in like our commissions. So I'll go ahead and put in like 5% commissions. We usually do 2.5 each side, and closing costs. It might be maybe 6 plus, because I'm sure there'll be title fees and all that. So we'll do 6% there, and then we do like, because what does this guy have a mortgage, or is it free and clear?
No, there's like a 90,000. So when you put your all right, I'm curious, like these commissions, how does that work with both of us?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we would use, and that's what the cool thing about this. And I don't know if Mike brought it up, but
Are
I'll
you,
use
so
you on the
like
back
your
end to
company,
sell
are
it.
you guys, let me ask you this. Are you guys real estate agents? Like, do you have your team? What do you guys, what do you guys do?
Bingo. Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna ask a lot of questions because I'm just curious.
that's okay. It's a really good one. So I mean, I'm going to be flipping the house essentially. So, and I'm going to be doing the rehab, all that, but I'm going to lean on, if it's you, and I would love for it to be you. I have no issues. Sounds like Mike speaks highly of you. So let you do the listing, right? And let's say that we pay 2.5 to you, 2.5 to our buyer, and 1% goes to closing. That's what I'm doing there. But I would lean on
Okay.
you to help list it. And if, yeah, and honestly, a lot of times, because when we do this from afar, we would have you like be eyes on, like coordinating, even like maybe meeting with my GC, right? To make sure, hey, is this up to par? Like I lean on the agents to be like, hey, should I go do this or should I do that? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I just like to know like where these numbers are coming from. Is this the after, I guess because I know novations essentially are several different contracts. So the first contract then gets switched over into another contract at this point. So I should just close my mouth right now, let you talk, and then I'll have a million questions for you after. How's that?
That's okay. No, I like it. It's all good. The nice thing is when people actually think this through and are open to it versus people who just shut down. So I like where you're going. So anyway, and there's two options, right? This is the option where I'm going to go in, fix the roof, put in some money into it. And then in this situation, we'll change the title, right? To where it'll go to us, but we give the seller a promissory note or a deed. Is Georgia or sorry, is it a deed of trust state or is it a mortgage state in Florida? Do they
This
file
will
mortgages
go
or deeds of trust?
the deed.
Probably deed of trust it. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, so two different ways to do this. Let me back up before we dive into numbers. So, Aimee, we could do it the way if I'm going to go put like $100,000 or 50,000 or whatever amount of money into the house and then flip it. What I'll do is I'll take title, because the moment I start putting in a significant amount of money, I got to make sure I'm protected, right? So we do that, and then we basically just profit share on the back end with the seller. That is the way. Yeah, that's one option. The novation option is we just lock in at a price, and if it's 800K or whatever it is, we just say, hey, we're going to get you 800K, Mr. Seller. You're going to allow us to list the property with you, right? Aimee would go list it, or again, if Aimee, if you're tied up or whatever, or you want to refer to somebody, you could. But then we're going to go list it, and then anything that we're able to say we're able to sell it for 950,000. Essentially, the agent gets paid. Well, no matter what, the seller, if we agree to 800, he gets 800K, right? And then we get the difference between, once we pay the agents and pay for the roof and pay for everything, we get the difference, right? That would be the traditional novation.
Right.
And it sounds like this is, and I guess the question is, between those two options, if it's a roof and just some cleanup, then I think we go novation, right? But if it's like, if you're telling me, Casey, you need to have your guys out there for a couple weeks taking care and just prepping this thing and to where I'm going to put in 10 to 20,000 right off the bat, that's when I'm going to go transfer the deed. That way I'm just more protected that way. Does that make sense?
Correct.
Yeah. But versus if you're just like, Casey, you could pay a couple guys for $500 or $1,000 to go clean this thing up, and then we'll put on the market and say that we're willing to. I do this all the time, Aimee. Is like, we'll put in the listing that we are willing to replace the roof with a full price offer or whatever, and then we get that offer. If we do it that way, then we can do the novation where deed stays in the seller's name, and then like you were alluding to, we basically just assign the contractor in buyer.
Hmm.
at the end. But I'll let you talk. What do you think is, based on the situation, is the best fit?
Mike, you've been in there. What's your thoughts?
So I think for just like because the exterior is pretty much the roughest thing. Inside is what it is. It just needs to be cleaned, and I think that the insides m- minus like upstairs in the loft, maybe replacing the carpet, and then in that in-law suite, maybe a couple little things in there, like put some new LVP in the floors or something like that. But besides that, just paint on the exterior is probably the biggest thing that'll go the furthest as far as appearance and just making that place glow, and then the roof, and then just your basic just clean up outside, and that's really what I think it needs.
So the pool, she just sent me a quote. The pool needs some TLC on it. She just
Okay.
sent me that quote. Her pool person went out
The
there.
the pull pumps and system or the surface?
Let me see what she sent me. She literally just sent this to me.
Because I know the pool could be resurfaced, but
Yeah,
that's never something that like is
it's not.
mandatory to
Yeah,
sell a house.
no, 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 no. Um, and as far as that in-law suite, okay, hold on. Let me find this real quick. Um, okay. Let's see. Resurfacing the pool, carbon tanks, tile, filter housing, water, heater built right. Okay, yeah. So these are nothing. I mean, we can take that heater right out. That's unnecessary to even have that there for sale.
Mhm.
The filter, that's normal. The tile around the water, okay, well, that's normal. Carbon tanks, and then, yeah, the resurfacing. So I think probably it came out to like 17,000, but that's between the resurfacing of 6,800 and the other larger one was the heater, which we don't need to have in there. That just
Okay.
needs to come completely out. Okay. Um, so I guess I'm still trying to wrap my brain around both of the different options and what makes the most sense. I think at the end of the day for her, I know that 800 was a number that she wanted to walk away with or that she felt comfortable with. And maybe it's the 750. Maybe that makes more sense to just offer it up front. I've already discussed to her like this, whatever we bring to her is going to make the most sense to her rather than listing it and going through all of those emotions. And she
Yeah.
wrote back to me and said she absolutely agrees.
Yeah.
So I would say that, like, I mean, I know that we need to have something up front. I think at the end of the day, it's what you're going to offer her that we're most worried about today. And then
Okay.
and then going through the numbers after that, if that makes sense. This is like kind of a new territory for me, which I'm really excited about. And I was telling Mike that I'm familiar with it. It's something that I've dabbled in a little bit. It's something that I've researched a little bit, but I have not like this is very new to me, just to be upfront and honest. And I I love to see things in writing, so I'm gonna probably
Yeah.
lean on you quite a bit for what your suggestions or to give me pros and cons of both, if that makes sense.
Yes. There you go. Okay, you answered a bunch of questions, so that was helpful, Amy. So here I'll simplify it. Okay. So I would say the easy, simple option is we just do what we call a novation agreement, which we tell the seller, hey, we'll get you 750,000. The only caveat is we need 60 days and let her know that, hey, like we're gonna manage everything. Like, and if we need to replace the roof, we're gonna replace the roof. Whatever the seller wants, whatever it takes to get this house sold, we will manage it. She will get 750, and we tell her typically it's 60 days. And I tell them, I'm upfront with them, like it could be 30, it also could be 90. We don't know for sure how fast that end buyer is going to want to close. So it's kind of yeah, 60 days is a round number, right? So that is the simplest way to do it, to
I
where
think that's
she just knows
probably
she
the
gets.
best way to do it with her.
Okay. Okay. And option
Yeah,
two,
because
just to go
Amy,
through it.
she's not in a real big rush, right? Because
She's not in a
she
rush.
lives next
No.
door, And
Yeah,
so it's kind of like the perfect scenario because she lives next door. She's comfortable. She doesn't need the money. She doesn't need a place right this minute. So that's kind of like the perfect scenario, really.
totally.
Okay,
And I
got it.
also know this is for I know that novations are very much pushed on emotions and not wanting to deal with a whole lot of traffic, et cetera, et cetera. This
Yeah,
is a 100% emotional sale because it was her brother's home. So she's
got it.
moving on emotion with this, wants to get the most for the estate, but also has to, with the realization that if we put this on the open market, it's going to be more emotional for her, which I've already prepped her on all of that. So if we can bring her a number just like this to be like, hey, out the gate 750, give us 60 days, we're going to primp it up, then we're going to, put it back on the market. If you're good with this, like simplify it for her. I think this makes perfect sense. This is
Okay,
like the perfect scenario, perfect storm for it all.
love it. Okay, that's good then. Yeah, because this one is, I'll give it to you, and it sounds like it's not helpful or as helpful, but this is a scenario if she was like, hey, I want to get more for the money. I want you to put some money into it. Like this is when sellers really want the most, right? And then this scenario, if we sell it for 950, she gets 707, 750. She makes more potentially this way, but it's not guaranteed. So it sounds like if she wants certainty and simplicity, this is it. This is just a way for them to make more money. But this is and if we needed to put in like 50,000 into this house before it could sell, then I would say we would have to go this route. But sounds like we could list this thing as is, or we could go clean it up, spend a couple $1,000s or maybe 10,000, whatever it is, clean it up, and then we'll just put in the listing we're willing to replace the roof with a good contract, and then we'll just have the roofer do it when we're under contract, right? And escrow it. Does that make sense? Have you done that before?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Usually buyers are going to want everything done ahead of time. I'm just
Yeah.
thinking in my head.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the roof, but no, I hear yes. But my thought is, I'm not going to go spend 15,000 on a roof with
This
an
one's
only
actually like
renovation.
40
Yeah, this one's
40?
more.
because the
Wow.
house
Okay.
is so
Yeah.
big. It's the house, it's the in-law suite and the barn. And I got the quote at like I think just like 38,000 for everything. And
Wow.
that's like
Okay.
a really good price because it's from my,
That
my
is a
roofer
really good price.
that I use all the time. It's a big house too.
Okay. Got it. So if that's the case, yeah, we want to do that once we're under contract. But I don't know. I mean, typically that's always a negotiation point anyway, right? People go, they get under contract, they inspect the roof, they're like, hey, the roof's got damage, we want you to replace it. So, but I think we be preemptive in our listing agreement and say, hey, seller is willing to replace the roof with a strong offer, essentially. And just put that in the comments, you know what I mean, Amy?
Yeah.
I completely hear what you're saying, but on my side, when people put that in, the likelihood buyers are very interesting in the way that their mindset rolls. So if they see something like that, they're going to come in, they're going to knock the price down and ask you to put a new roof on. That's from my experience. Just the
Got it.
psychology behind what a buyer is looking at. I'm playing devil's
Okay.
advocate because I see it all the time, and especially with these roofs.
Okay. Yeah, and that's no good feedback. And then that would be the only reason to go to this option because in this option, I replace the roof on the front end. I do all the repairs, all that, right? And it's just, and we try to keep it very simple, right? We can lay this out very simple. I mean, all it is we just say that, hey, and this 90,000 that really doesn't apply. The important number is what they get on the back end, and then because essentially what happens is we would pay off the loan, and then they get 90% of the profit, we get 10% of the profit, and then but I'm gonna go front all the money to replace the roof and do all that and the exterior. And like for example, exterior paint, I'm probably not gonna unless it's just touching up the paint. Like a paint job on that house is probably gonna. What do you think, Mike? That's gonna be 10, 20,000 there, huh? Or you think it just needs touched up in spots and it's peeling?
No, I think it's just that they haven't touched the outside of that place in so long, so it just looks really rough and chalky, and this Florida heat, it's weathered, it looks
Yeah,
It's not a
it
good color either.
no, it's not a good color either. It looks rough, and I mean I can definitely get that done for less than 10, but
yeah. Um, for less than 10,000 though, you think? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Your guys' roofing costs are outrageous, but
Good for you.
I live in Houston and but I do a bunch of deals in Wyoming and Montana. Like I don't know,
Okay.
like typically I would think painting a big house like that would be would be pushing at least 10 to I
So that
mean
makes more sense in regards to like the roof. We have a huge issue here with insurance companies, and lots of insurance companies have backed out of the state of Florida. So that's been a very big scenario when people are purchasing homes. The home could be absolutely perfect. And if a roof isn't done, even if you negotiate with them, they still are very hesitant for one reason or another. Isn't that right, Mike? It's just like
Yeah.
the hesitation behind them is it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I mean, we could probably get away with not doing the barn, but just for all three to match and be, replaced at the same time. That's just why I got that the quote for all three.
And that makes
yeah.
the most sense. Probably the
Yeah.
roofs in the state of Florida are the biggest thing, the biggest issue that we are running up against on any purchases or any sales.
Yep.
Because the insurance cost here is so high, regardless of having money or not. People are very like conscious of it, and it's been just a red flag. So just
Got
taking
it.
that into consideration in regards to which way you go is probably, let me ask you this, the 750 that she gets now, what is that? How does that work with contracts as far as listing agreements and so on and so forth? Is that 750? How does that work?
Yeah, so good question. It's 750 is the net number she gets, and that's all. And that's the nice part about it is she doesn't have to think about, well, what about commissions? What about closing costs? Like she'll get 70/50 net. And the way we set up our contract is it's called an attorney in fact, and
Yep.
that's what allows us to sign listing documents with you, right? So say you list it, she doesn't have to worry about anything. She just signs an attorney in fact that allows us to go you sign all listing documents, and then we just work with you until we get it sold.
Yeah.
And then she
I
just
mean,
knows
I definitely want to be the agent to sell it for sure. So,
yeah,
um,
as you should.
okay. Um,
I mean, one option too is we go this. This is this no doubt the simplest route. But again, I would not recommend us going and replacing a roof on this contract. If we're gonna go replace a roof and do a bunch of work, we should go this route. Because again, on this route, the deed changes to us, and then we give the seller a deed of trust, or it's basically a recorded instrument recording that she will get paid on the back end based on this profit share model. Because all this is just a profit share model saying if we sell it for this much, she gets this. If we sell it for all the way here, she gets that. And these are just different scenarios. And we just estimate holding costs, closing costs. But the rehab is fixed. We just say, hey, and this number we could play with, right? I definitely would want to dive deeper with Mike, but I'm always going to build this. I'm always going to make this number conservative to where it's not going to be higher than that, right? But it's not going to be less. But I make sure that I make sure we have some cushion in there. But at the end of the day, what I try to highlight to the seller is say, hey, so in the low scenario, you make 707, but in the high, you make 834. So you make more than you think. But more than likely, we're probably going to be in the middle anyway.
oh, that's not the Novation route. That's the other route you're saying.
Yeah, that's the other
I
route.
gotcha.
And again, it really is innovation, essentially. But
Yeah.
in this route, we're spending the money on the front end. But in order for me to do that and me to be protected, I have to, or me or Mike or whatever combination JV we do, in order for us to be protected, we would have to transfer the deed. And so there's two closings, right? But it's a really simple closing on the front end. They just sign over the deed. We agree to this profit share agreement, and then we start doing work. And once the work's done, we list it, we sell it, and then at the end, they get paid based on this profit share.
Gotcha.
So I would recommend, to summarize, I would recommend this option if we feel like it's absolutely necessary to do a bunch of work on the front end to sell the house. I recommend we go this route. If we feel like we can sell the house for around 9 to 950, and all we have to do is replace a roof and do some exterior cleanup, then I think we do this route.
Okay. Um, Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just, we're going to have to you know, since the roof is so costly, that, you know, between that and getting, you know, the other little bit of work that it needs, probably going to have to go with the second option, right?
Yeah, or the 7, 15, 60 days, or this one, the one we'll call here. I'll make this. We'll call Novations option 2, and then we'll call option 1. This is yeah. We call this our revive method, option 1. Throwing another thing out there, we could go with option 2 to start, and if we are able to get it under contract in the next 30 days, boom, we just roll with it. And like I'm proposing, I understand that people might try to beat us up because we haven't replaced the roof, but there's really nothing hurt if we do this for 30 days. And let's say we can't get any offers, we're like, all right, sounds like we got to go replace the roof and paint the siding, and then we go back to this option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we might have to do that anyway. You know, we could be doing within that 30 days, we could, you know, be doing a couple touch-ups, this, that, and the other, and then, you know, we're gonna have to wait for permitting and everything for the roof anyway, because that's not instantaneous.
Okay.
I mean, he'll move
Any
pretty
other thoughts,
quick when we pull the trigger, but
yeah. I mean, yeah, Aimee, that might be good. Let's just let the market tell us, honestly. I kind of agree. I think we just go say, hey, we'll get you 750, and we're anticipating that being anywhere from 60 to 90 days. But we will handle everything, and she will net 750. And then let's just reevaluate if after 30 days we don't have any offers. And again, but we're not going to replace the roof. All we're going to do is probably just do some cleanup and see if we can sell it as is around 950 or something. And assuming we're going to replace the roof. And if that works, bingo. That's the easiest option for everybody.
Okay.
But if after 30 days we're not getting showings or we're not getting any offers and people are just sketchy about the roof not being done, then we just go back to the seller and say, hey, all right, here's our next best option. We're going to replace the roof and we're going to paint. We're going to do all these things now, and this is how you
Were
potentially
you
might
talking
make
about not painting beforehand?
Yeah, I would propose. I mean, you guys tell me. Like, I would say
I mean,
this
if
might
we're
be a
going to
bad idea.
market it, I would like to and do it this way, then it makes more sense to have it visually marketable.
yeah, I
You
know,
can't put
Aimee,
something
because
up here that's not.
because Aimee and I have been to the property and we know how ugly it is. So I
Yeah.
definitely agree. It needs to be painted at minimum, and we can do that, like, you know, pretty much day one, and get it painted, get it, you know, photo ready or whatever. And then the roof, I mean, I definitely don't think it's the worst thing in the world, and especially they can pick the color and everything, you know. So especially,
Okay.
you know, as far as marketing for the first 30 days.
I mean,
I
yeah,
mean,
if you
that's not a bad idea just to put it out and say, we're putting a roof on, you have the option as if it's like yeah. I mean, that's not
yeah, pick your
terrible.
roof. I
Yeah.
like it. That's a good idea. Yeah. And I
I
mean,
mean,
if you
the
think
interior
yeah,
is still like we're working with something completely outdated. Then we're working with a pool. So I'm playing devil's advocate here because I work with so many different buyers and sellers and seeing all the different things that are coming in. So if it's going this route to be able to maximize on that number, I know you want to save on some things to get the most for it to have a larger profit, but in my mind, when I'm thinking of this, it's like I I think that something has to be done on the inside as well, in my
Yeah.
mind.
The scenario that this is, and why it works, is because the whole inside is like, it's a whole snowball if we were to, you know, renovate the inside. And it's just,
Yeah.
all this is saying is that we're going to open up more doors and get a little bit more money for the house with a new roof than we would without, you know, really, at the end of the day. You know, and in the meantime, we'll beautify what we can for, you know, a reasonable amount of money and time. And, you know, because otherwise renovating that whole inside is like,
Yeah,
it's not in the budget, with the
no.
numbers.
not renovating, but at least, the wallpaper, repainting it on the inside.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I mean, the wallpaper just is,
Yeah, I mean, we'll go in and do everything that we possibly can, as far as what we think once we start breaking it down. But I think we got to kind of present it to the seller and just kind of see where we're at with that, and we'll kind of iron those things out as we go.
Yeah, and I'll chime in here. Amy, you're right. I mean, I totally get it. That top to sell it for the most money is doing all that, but Mike's right too. It's a slippery slope. Like you start doing
yeah.
wallpaper, you start painting, and then all of a sudden you see 10 other things you want to do, and then I think me and Mike have been there. You just keep adding and adding. But I'm just saying, I think let's circle back and say this again. What do you guys think though? If we just do 750 as is, and all we do is paint the outside and say we're going to do the roof, and just let's see how that goes. And if that doesn't play out well, and if we don't get the offer, then we can make the choice. You know what? And the market will tell us, right? The market will be like, hey, we'll constantly get feedback. You know what? If they would have painted and got rid of that wallpaper and did this, that, and that, the other, we would have made an offer. Then we can go do that. And the other thing is you can negotiate. I don't know if you do this, Amy, but like I train our agents to where every showing we should be getting feedback. And if they don't bring an offer, be like, what would it take for you to make an offer? And then they might say this, this, and this. Be like, well, what if we do that for you before closing and you could pick out the paint color? And it's not as traditional, but it's worked for us in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what you can't do is go the opposite way. You can't go option 1 and then go to 2, but we could do 2 with the 750 number. And it's a lot easier.
So you're basically just painting it. You're not doing anything else to it. But then, I mean, I'm just trying to, I know you guys want to maximize it to make a big profit on the back end, but at the same time, as I'm looking at this and I'm going to market it, I'm like, okay, so you're just going to, I don't know. I'm just trying to wrap my brain around what that looks like.
Yes. Essentially, we're going to paint it and replace a roof. And then maybe you tell us, maybe that's enough to price it at $950. Or maybe looking at these margins, you know what? I think you could price it at $899. And we replace the roof and we paint the outside. And then somebody else gets the deal on it and they can go give their own spin on the inside.
Yeah.
But we can always retract.
Yeah,
Good.
No, I was just saying that, like, I can't remember exactly, but there's a couple of things that we could do for quick and very low budget. In that, like I said, I think there was like damage on the floor in the in-law suite, like certain things to make the place really, it will pop. It'll definitely change the place around from where it sits right now. Maybe a couple, some landscaping, clean up the yard a little bit. All those things go a long way. From where it sits right now, it looks like it's almost been abandoned,
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So,
and I got no issues going at this route. Like if we want to go this route, like now that I hear that the roof is like that, I'm just going to put 150,000 in here to just because I want to make sure that this has plenty of cushion, and then we can paint the outside. We can do updates inside. So based on this, and then maybe we make it a little bit higher, like 0.95%. So they would basically get 95. And the reason why this is so high is because the loan gets paid off first. Let me just explain this, Amy. So when we flip it, or when we sell it to our end buyer and we go put in all this money, guys, this is undoubtedly the way to get the most for the house, right? Because then this allows us to sell it for 950 to 1.1. So when we sell it, we pay off the loan. The next 150 goes to us. And then obviously we pay our closing costs, our agent fees and all that, holding costs, right? And then after that, we give 95% back to the seller and then we keep 5. So this is our kind of small little profit on the back end. And this is what they get. And then this number right here, this is effectively, so this is the number you share with them, Amy. So you're like, so they can compare apples to apples, be like, well, I could take a cash offer at 700, or I take this offer, which on the low end, I make 703. On the high end, I make 837, which is more than I was even planning on. And that's why people do this all the time, because they're like, we could present this as, hey, this is the way you get the most money for the estate. And undoubtedly, the way she gets the most money for the estate is if she renovates this thing. And when I say renovate, that's a loose term, but when she like do these little things we're talking about. And then that gives us a $150,000 budget to go in and do some stuff. So sorry, I keep going back and forth, but it sounds like Aimee is likes this option more, because I'm just telling you what I don't want to do is go do this option and then we just keep doing more, and okay, we're going to paint the inside, now we're going to do that, now we're going to do this.
Yeah, because Amy's going to be over there, pointing her finger at me, hey, paint this wall, paint that wall, put these
I get it.
No, I'm just looking at this. So we
No,
all
I
have
know.
different.
You want to sell, you want it to be beautiful like the other ones, like Iron Horse.
Yeah, right. I know. If everything could be like that. No, I'm looking at this from a different perspective than y'all are, which is great because when you have different perspectives, it gives you like that understanding of like, oh, okay, well, this is what I want to do, but now I'm giving you just a different perspective, all the things that I see. So that's why I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. And I'm a very creative person as well. So I'm trying to look at this, figure out the talk track with her, figure out does this make the most sense for her? I mean, in my mind it does, but I'm also trying to think how this all works. That's all. And then I'm trying to think like, okay, so if we change this and we add that, I'm also thinking marketing wise, how that's marketed to the open public. And so I'm trying to take all this in so that I can have a professional conversation with any of the buyers coming in as far as what that looks like. Does that make sense? That's why I'm.
Yep. So here's what I would say. I'm kind of leaning more toward this option here. And unless Mike has a difference of opinion, but my thought is do this, right? And if it's okay, let's do this same call. And if it's not now, we could schedule it whenever. And then let me walk them through, because what I'm going to explain to her is that, hey, we're going to take over the loan amount immediately when we close. I'm going to be paying the loan payments. I'm going to be paying for utilities. Like, you're going to be completely hands off, which she should appreciate, right? I'm going to go put in all the money to fix and make this house beautiful again. And then when we sell it, this is what we could sell it for, this range, right? And what essentially that means to you, Mrs. Seller, is the trust is either going to get somewhere between 703 to 837 for this house. And that's all going to come within, I'd say, 90 to 120 days. And then it's pretty simple after that. She doesn't have to do any work after the fact. She's protected because when we close, we file a deed of trust to where, and I can explain that talk track, right? So she understands that, hey, it's not like a handshake deal where like, oh, okay, I trust these guys, I'm going to work with them. It's like, no, we go through the title company, we formally close, she signs the deed. At the same time she signs the deed, we give her a mortgage, which protects her interest to where we can't go sell this house. We can't do anything without paying her profit share, right? And I've just done these so many times that I can kind of talk through that. And then I've done this with agents a lot before too, Aimee, where I'll talk through that, and then you can she'll have questions and you can help, and you can ask the questions that she's not asking. You know what I mean? It works really well. So any questions on that, and then I'll explain on the back end with the buyers, it's super easy. It's just like any other flip. Like, we're your customer, you're listing this house that's now fixed up and easy to market and has beautiful photos.
Yeah, of
and you're
course.
just trying to sell it. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So this one's actually a little bit cleaner because we take clear title, and we can make whatever repairs we want to make, and yeah.
Okay.
So Aimee, what do you think about being able to present this to her? And I'll probably just remove this stuff over here so it's simpler.
In all honesty, I think just presenting it to her. I mean, I have a talk track for her. I'm trying to think, it's 1. I have a Zoom at 1:30. So you know what? This is what I think I'll do. Just give her a call, give her like just the bottom line. Hey, this is the bottom line offer. It'll be between 703 and 837.
Yep.
And I've already told her, I said, potentially my team will come in and just redo everything for you to, maximize on that. And in order to get this price, that's what it's going to take. But we'll, the upfront cost and all. And then
Okay.
just see what she says as far as that number. And if she sounds like she's like ready to move on that number, which I would encourage her to do, then I think having that conversation with her with the legal part of it and how all the paper works, I think that that would make the most sense.
Okay.
Because I
Yeah.
think this
All right.
does, I'm like, I'm 100%, even though I'm asking all of these like questions and playing devil's advocate, I'm 100% on board with you. I'm just looking at this from all different angles, but I think it's a great option for her.
Cool. I like that idea.
Perfect.
Yeah, you could present and just simplify it down to here. I'll
Yeah,
share
let
the
me just
sheet,
dumb it down. Yeah.
and then
And then if have
yeah.
and then getting her on. So who do you guys as far as like doing all the attorney work, do you guys have an attorney that you use, or would it make sense to use our attorney here? I know, Mike, you have one, but I also have a really good one. So how does that work?
We typically the title company does most of it to where we don't even have to mess with it. Or you guys aren't an attorney state, right? In terms of
No,
closing.
we're both, but I
Okay.
actually have an attorney that I work with closely.
Got it. And if you want him to review the but honestly, yeah, I'm happy to have him review it, but we do this all the time, and literally all it is a deed of trust and a promissory note. And that's really it. And the title company is the one that files it all. And the title company will tell us if like, hey, that's not gonna the county is gonna reject it if you do this, so fix that. Like honestly, we can just save the money on not having to go pay an attorney. So I typically don't use it. I mean, I used an attorney the first time when I like basically made my contracts and my templates, but we don't do it each time. We just work with the title company.
Gotcha.
So I'll just kind of give you like the low and then the high. I'm going to text this to you so you have it.
Cool.
But yeah, but if
Sounds
there is
good.
something that needs to be reviewed or document, happy to let your attorney look at it. Okay. And then I'll put within, I would say, 90 to 120 days. And also, we like in this scenario, we will cover mortgage payments and all other housing costs. And then I'll put closing date. It's like ASAP. Like we could start this. I mean, we could close in like 14 days or whatever, as soon as she wanted. Would she love to get this done in like fast or into the month, or what do you think would be a
When you say closing day, are you talking about like I mean, she's not going to get this money in 14 days.
correct? Yeah, that's just the day that she signs the deed, and then we sign the
Gotcha.
deed of trust to protect her, right? And
Hmm.
then we start, right? But we're not going to start doing work until all that's signed at the title company. And because they're still going to
Okay.
do like title insurance and all that to make sure that everything's good on that.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right.
Awesome.
So I'll just put as soon as
Um,
she's ready. So yeah. Okay. Well, let us know how it goes. And then, like you say, if she says yes, what I'll do is I'll just prepare the contract and we can just walk through that on a Zoom call with her. And then I could be like, okay, here's what we talked about. Here's how it works. Because that's if I'm
yeah,
hearing
that
you
makes
right.
sense.
Yeah,
That's
you
good.
want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You bet. Awesome. Well, thanks,
Awesome.
Aimee.
I will like I said, I gotta prep for my 1:30 Zoom, so I probably won't talk to her until after that. So if you don't hear from me, that's the only reason why. So
Okay.
um
Sounds good.
I will reach out to you guys here shortly.
Okay.
Cool. Mike,
All
we can
right.
catch up for a minute if you want.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Cool. I know we haven't talked about how to, and we can honestly, depending on what she approves, we could talk about how you want to JV it, but I'm always open to whatever you think, man. What are your initial thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, so just so you have a little bit of background on like on me and whatnot, I live down the street from that house, so it's in my neighborhood, in my little bubble of where I do most of my flips and everything. So I do have all the, all my contacts and everything to do it, to get any work done as efficiently and, budget friendly as possible. And I do, I'm very hands on with all my projects. So, however that can, be of a benefit to getting that stuff done.
That'd be
But
awesome.
I'm
That's
definitely
probably one
just
of the most
super.
valuable. Yeah.
What's that?
That's a super valuable thing. But keep going.
Okay, yeah. So, and then yeah, she's brought us a couple deals. Amy's pretty cool. And like like you saw, she's very open to, learning, and she's always trying to learn new strategies, and but she should be good on the sale end. And then yeah, I'm just curious as far as like the JV aspect and how you typically work your deals when they're brought to you like this, and how that goes, because I'm obviously open to different agreements, or however you want to work it out.
Yeah, so I would probably, unless you wanted to fund it with your own cash, like typically, okay, well, the way I'm doing it right now on this one in Washington, it was another problems to profits guy that we're closing today. He's just going to get paid on the back end. And typically I do like a 80-20. Like if we're just going to wholesale it and you bring me the deal and I help you close it and we do the first one, it's typically 80. I get 80, you get 20 on the first one. And then we do more on the next ones. But if we're going to wholesale, right? But if we're going to flip it, well, plus, dude, I'll be honest with you. I think there's potentially a six-figure profit in this thing. Looking at the numbers right now, based on what I'm hearing, right? I mean, if you can get it all done, and that, let me actually go back to this because let me talk profit numbers, right? So if I go back in here, like the way I've got this set up, and again, I mean, the beauty of this thing is they're good at 750, which you told us, right? So we don't have to take a whole
Right.
lot of risk in this deal. And if we're budgeting 150,000, but what do you think? I mean, I would think for probably for 100K, we could do the roof, do the painting, and make it look pretty nice inside, huh? Do you agree?
Yeah, there's definitely plenty there with 100 to definitely get this thing where it needs to be, for sure. I mean,
Got
it's 5 acre property. You can go crazy, and like I was telling her, like, because the inside it's very unique. It's like all wood, like custom carpentry, but like built in '92. But it's a very unique, beautiful home. So I
Yeah,
don't know. I could definitely get it done for 100 for sure.
yeah. So my thought is we're gonna build in 50K here on, and then I didn't go too far into that, but like, but I think that's just part of managing the project, right? And GCs have a profit, so it's not like we're
Yep.
doing it shady. And then this is our profit based on these kind of things, so it'd be 32 to 39, right? And honestly, I might play with that. I liked it a lot better at 9.9. Because now we still got a profit of, yeah, this is actually more in line, I think. And you know what? I might tell her to resend it to where this is the numbers. Um, because anyway, but now, so now we're looking at like 64 to 78 here. So my thought would be we would figure out a split on this on the back end. Well, either way, I would want us to all get paid on the back end, but I would go fund it, right? Like I would fund all the capital to go do all the work, right? And let's say it's 100K at cost, but I for sure would cut you in on like managing it on that 50K
Okay.
profit. We could figure out a little bit here, or maybe one or the other. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like, especially if you're involved, I would love for you to be involved and obviously have some skin in the game to keep it under.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I love it. Because
You
like
know
I
what? I
said,
would
I
probably put
like the
you more on this one. Sorry, I interrupt you, but I think the more you're incentivized to keep this low, the better, right? And the more profit you make, that also helps everybody. And that'll be what you can control the most.
exactly, and that's why I was saying when you asked about the painting, that's something that I can do. So like that's why I said I could get it done for like 10 grand, or you know what I mean,
Yeah.
or somewhere around there, because it's something that I'm not going to hire out.
Yep. Go ahead. You were,
'Cause,
and I
right
interrupt
now
you.
I only have one other flip going on, and it's down the street, and it's I am the lady's doing a lease back, so but it's
Okay.
going to be I don't have a whole lot going on as far as that.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, and maybe, and who knows, maybe there's a way. I mean, I try to carve in on these deals, I try to carve in at least 50K of profit to make sure, because it's still a lot of work, right? And managing it all. I try to carve in 50K here and then this is all just kind of bonus cherry on top. Because the nice part about this deal is when we sell it, and we'll be very transparent so everybody understands that when we sell it, the loan gets paid off first. We get paid back
Yep.
150. Obviously, we pay all this, and then we profit share the 90%. That way we're protected. If we had to drop the price, we could. And I think the market's going the right way right now, but this was really critical in the last 12 months when rates were going up, and I wasn't sure if we could move things. I want to be able to drop price and not get stuck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But maybe, yeah, think about it. Or if you got a number now, or feel like a percentage, or maybe a dollar figure, be like, hey, if we hit it where we think we will, I'd love to make this much. I mean, I'm open to whatever you think. This one's a little bit different because you're going to be helping keep costs down on the rehab.
So let's just look at this first column. So if, like, let's say we kept it at 100 and we spent 100 on the rehab, so there would be 50 profit there, and then 64 down
Yep.
there. So it would be a little over 100,
Yep.
like 114 or so.
Exactly.
Okay, I see. Okay.
This would be, and then potentially up to 128.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, I guess it would just depend on what got subbed out and what got, what work I did. But as far as like the rehab stuff, just like to, I could even, because I don't like to just throw out, and my prices, would definitely be on par or below anybody else's if I got like other quotes. Like, say I was to do the painting, and I got like two other quotes or something, and then, or you got your own quotes, and then we went from there with the price just to make it fair or something.
Yeah, and building your margin 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Let's say that the painting job is 15K from everybody else, and you can do it for 10. Yeah, I'd be happy. You keep that.
Exactly. So, yeah, because that's what I've done in the past. Because that way, it's not like I'm just throwing out, one number, and I'm only doing it because I'm the only one there or whatever. That way, it's
Yeah,
just fair across the board, and it's less.
yeah. I think that's completely fair.
Okay.
And that would be
And then
addition.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
just gonna say
okay.
we can
And then I
figure out
guess we'll
kind of a
just
percent split, and then but that would be in addition to the split, right? Just because you're the contractor at that point, right? Or the
right.
subcontractor.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we don't have to answer it now too, because we also don't know what they're all going to agree to. But yeah, feel free to think on that, and then. But there's definitely enough money for us to both make it worth our while, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Cool. All right, man. Well, let me know. We'll stay in touch on that Voxer app. I'm going to add you with. I think you're with Judith. So Judith is good about reminding me if I don't see something, because I get
Okay.
up
Perfect.
way too many of those. But I like it. 'Cause
Awesome.
it's a fast way to communicate.
Beautiful. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
All right, man. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
You bet. We'll be in touch later.
Yep. Bye.